The State of Crypto is presented by Tron, connecting the world to the power of cryptocurrency.
Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Happy Friday, Nick. So you were listening into Celsius's third bankruptcy hearing yesterday. Walk us through it.
Good morning. Yeah. So third hearing yesterday, basically the majority of it actually ended up discussing, what we were talking about yesterday, this proposal and this effort to let certain creditors who had their funds in custody accounts rather than earn or borrow accounts withdraw their funds. There wasn't a resolution. The judge has not made a ruling. There's going to be further discussions later this month and into October. But this question as to, who is able to withdraw funds really took up most of the oxygen. The creditors who are applying for this, who are filing for this, say that, because their funds were in custody accounts, they maintained ownership, they should have the right to withdraw, regardless of whatever bankruptcy process is going on. Celsius, for its part, has also filed to allow some custodial customers to withdraw, but they want to basically narrow it down to only customers who have always had their funds in custody. So if their funds were in earned before and then converted to custody, they do not count. And the company also wants to.
Why that distinction?
Well, actually, I think before we even get into that, Nick, if you could kind of, for the kids at home who are watching, if you can kind of explain the difference between the earn and the custody accounts, because of course, Celsius had these different lines of business, and that's kind of a factor in how they view these accounts and how they want the courts to view the accounts. And there was also this whole issue of 89 versus 90 days. So if you can kind of explain, first of all, what those two things are and how Celsius is appealing to the courts regarding that.
Yeah, well, so the basic difference is custody accounts, Celsius was just providing storage. They were, the funds weren't doing anything, the cryptos were just being held there. For any of the other, the earn, the borrow, the funds were doing something. They were either meant to generate a yield or being, given to Celsius to loan out to, to do whatever with. So the fundamental difference is just, were the funds static or were they involved in some other activity meant to generate yield? And that kind of plays into what we were talking about with the whole earn to custody conversion, because that was the result of certain regulatory hangups in certain places. So, quite a few customers appear to have had their funds in earn accounts that were converted to custody. Celsius basically said, okay, well, sure, fine, whatever, but we do not want to allow these customers to be able to withdraw alongside other custody customers because they were initially, hoping to earn a yield or generate, whatever.
Maybe you can go over that distinction too between Celsius filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection 89 days after it introduced its custodial wallet to customers, because I understand funds transferred 90 days prior to Celsius filing for bankruptcy might be subject to clawback under U.S. law. So what is this clawback?
So Celsius also wants to make sure that it can pay whoever it's supposed to pay first. And the way it's phrasing this in this court battle is that, some customers might have to be deemed, preferential. They might have to receive funds first. And if Celsius, allows all the custody customers to withdraw, it's basically saying, and this is my interpretation, but it basically seems to be saying, we can't guarantee that we will necessarily have all of the resources we need if we have to suddenly give some other group of preferential customers, that kind of treatment. That's what it sounds like. I'm going to be honest, things got pretty weird yesterday. This is not a legal term, but it does seem to be that, this is a concern that Celsius wants to make sure, A, it has enough funds to continue this court case, but B, that if it's able to, pay back some custody customers, custody account holders, then it doesn't want to be in a position where it no longer has the money to pay provide that other preferential treatment.